G'day, and welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'm Nat. My Knackers Yard will be there in the dry. I'll be out here in the wet, and the Thundercat will be earning its money, because this is what it's for. A lot of time tighten it up, but actually its purpose is getting me to work each day. And unfortunately, by being an everyday ride, that includes in shit like this. That's not too bad, it's just wet and fucking miserable. So how are we doing? Hope you're well. Well, not doing too bad. Bikes are cracking on. I'm getting a lot of interest in Kermit. It does lead me to a slight rant here though, but hey, it'll keep me busy for the commute and you entertained with my fucking ranting. I hate selling bikes. I love buying bikes, I love working on bikes, I love tinkering, I love getting them all back up to something presentable, or very presentable if I can manage it. And I love keeping them alive for other people to enjoy, whether that's as a fun machine, you know, whether that's just for a bit of weekend arsing around. Come on, if you're going to do it, fuck's sake. Or whether or not that's as a, you know, a serious track bike, or whether that's a commute bike, or whether or not it's 4 miles every 6th weekend to go and get a coffee. You know, it doesn't matter. That's, you know, bikes are for whatever purpose you want them for, and I would never look down on anybody that, you know, spends thousands and thousands on a bike and spends their entire life polishing it. That's what gives them joy. You do you. The bit that I don't like is selling the fucking things. And don't get me wrong, I like meeting the buyer, I like chatting about the bike, I like talking through what I've done with it. In fact, I don't like talking through, I love talking through what I've done with them. I like introducing them, showing them what's been done, showing them what hasn't been done in some cases, showing them some frailties that I picked up of the bike throughout. You know, I enjoy that, and if they walk away with the bike and I've got some money in my pocket, then if they don't, no, fine, not a problem. What I can't handle is the process of selling. It's fucking heartbreaking. Of so many, is this available? Yes, the advert's there. So many people trying to, I mean, we all want to bargain, and you know, we all drop in a bid against a higher price and knock a little bit off, but the number of people that are just taking the piss is just, you got to laugh, otherwise you cry. So the two that I've the two main ones have just been brilliant. One who's, you know, had about 2 hours worth of conversation over an evening, going in the ins and outs of the bike and all stuff that's pretty much on the advert. Now Kermit, the ZX6R, is up for 1,600, anticipating some beaten down. I'm holding fast on 1,500 at the moment. So, you know, people always ask what's your best price. Well, that's it. You know, that's. So I had a guy that, you know, started at 11, then pointed out that there's one down the road that he looked at a couple of days ago in silver, a year older, with higher mileage, and without brand new tyres and without brand new everything else I've got, for I think 12. And asking, you know, what do I think? I said, well, I think you should buy that one immediately, mate. That's a really good price, and it is. His suggestion was that he bought that one and swapped it with mine. Now, just take a minute to work out the logic of that. That I was going to be prepared to swap a bike that I've got the full history of, and I know exactly what I say full, not so full service history, but I know everything that I had to do to get it up to a certain standard, and MOT, with new tyres and everything else. I was going to swap it for a lower value, older bike with more mileage. Yeah, exactly. And he's still in comms. He's still, you know, he's added a little bit to the cash pot, but he's still way short. So that's one. My favourite was yesterday. Now it's wet and shitty today. It was wet and shitty yesterday as well. Now bearing in mind, just to context, it's up for 1,600. I haven't published on the advert that I'd take 1,500, but you know, there's an assumption that you always list at slightly more than you'll be prepared to take. So yeah, so it's listed at 1,600. I got a wonderful offer saying I'll take it for 1,000. And I'll even come out in the pissing rain for it. So would I be prepared to take a third or over a third? So, you know, just to put that in context, over a third off the price because it's raining. No was the simple answer to that. So yeah, it's just frustrating. I mean, I'm not in a rush. I mean, the ZX6R took. The ZX6R, sorry, the Phaser CAF took a couple of weeks, I think, to go, and went for full value that I had it listed as. Still people trying to beat me down, but I'd dropped the price on the listing by 200 quid anyway, so I wasn't prepared to go any lower. So yeah, it gets slightly frustrating. But hey, them's the joys of playing with bikes, and it's my least favourite part of it, selling them on afterwards. Yeah, and the bit that really gets me is I'm not really making a profit on my bikes. I'm making, you know, 200 quid-ish, something like that, on each bike. Really very, very little considering the amount of time that I've put in on them. And I certainly, you know, one of many reasons that I couldn't do this professionally, because my markup is nowhere near enough for living expenses, let alone everything else. But yeah, it is a little bit frustrating. You're going to die, mate. You are going to die. Fucking scooters just dropping in front of people. A grey scooter when it's raining, just going to get fucking flattened. Speaking of accidents, thank you, Mr. Suicidal Scooter Man, for a great segue. I'm not quite done with the cat yet. I had one thing I want to do, one thing I really should do. The thing that I want to do, that I completely forgot when I was pissing around with the tank, is I haven't put my USB power on it. I've had it on every bike. I haven't routinely used it, but the times that I have used it, it's been an absolute lifesaver. And I bought it for this. I've had it in a different video. I said, oh, once I've got the tank off, once I was swapping the tanks over, I'll take the opportunity to put the power in, and completely forgot. To the point where I've put it somewhere safe, and I've got to work out where that safe place is, because I'm bugging if I know where I've put it. But I do want to put the USB power on it. And again, you know, despite the fact I've made it look quite pretty, it's a commute bike. It needs to be functional, and that's a functionality that I routinely need on I sporadically need on a bike. It's the ability to charge phones, cameras, all that sort of pish off it. Now I do have in my backpack routinely, also routinely on that, a external battery, you know, one that you just, a USB battery booster thingy, and I've got a few of those knocking around, and I can and have used those in the past, and will continue to do so. They're always handy to have, but the ability to power straight from the bike is something that I miss by not having on this periodically. I think, oh shit, no, I can't. So I need to find that and work out where to mount that and get that sorted, probably this weekend. So that's the one to the should. I've spent a lot of time on the bodywork for this bike, more than I should have done, frankly, and I've made it look better than I initially planned, and better than, again, I probably should have done. it's going to be a London commute bike, I probably wanted it more nondescript than I've made it. But hey, that's the, you know, that's just dickhead Nat getting carried away as usual. But what I do want to do is try and protect it a little bit. So this, in the wrong lane, you fucking idiot. This bike didn't come with any crash protection. You fucking dozy bitch. This bike didn't come with any crash protection, with any crash bobbins or frame sliders or various names for much the same thing. It didn't come with any, and I want to put some on. Now I found a guy on eBay that I think makes them, rather than because he was talking about raw materials, etc., etc. So I think he makes them for older bikes. When I get to fit them, I'll put the link in the bottom in case there's any other Thundercat owners that want to kind of look him up, because they're quite reasonable, but they look quite good quality. They're not OEM. It's a 20-year-old bike that I've sprayed. I don't want to be spending OEM type money because I'm tight, fundamentally. But what I did want to do is invest some of the dividend from selling off the Phaser into protecting this. So they're arriving, I think, today, but I'll install them at some point over the weekend. Fucking moron day today. Yeah, install them over the weekend. Now, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because it detracts slightly. Unfortunately, I don't like crash or frame sliders or whatever your crash bobbins. I don't like them on bikes. I think they're a bit cumbersome. You know, they will add to the bulk of the bike. Of course they will. They're designed to hold the road off the framework, so it's got to stick out further than the framework. Hold the road off the frame. No, that doesn't quite yet. Hold the bodywork off of the road is probably a better way of putting it. So yeah, they are going to stick out a bit. But again, what's the bike for? It's a commute bike for London. I think it probably needs it, because if I mean, heaven forbid, if I get a high-speed hit, it's going to hurt like fuck and break the bike. But what's possibly more likely is a low-speed clip, or even just me doing a low-speed drop, snurgling around traffic, getting it wrong, putting my foot down, finding gravel, all of that sort of shit that happens. And those that do commute on a bike will be used to that sort of experience, where they don't necessarily drop it, but you come close a few times and you put your foot down and it slides away, or you know, somebody doesn't quite acknowledge that your back wheel's where it is and just, you know, gives you a nudge, just enough to make you poo your pants, but not necessarily enough to knock you over. So yeah, I was kind of conflicted. I didn't want to put them on, but I will. So I've bought like mainframe sliders, so I'm not going to look around too much, but effectively sliders that go on the engine itself. And you absolute fucking bellend. Why didn't you let him out? What was I saying? Yeah, and I've also got front fork ones, little fork ones, which I like the look of even less. But again, they serve a purpose, and you know, the Cat is fundamentally a utilitarian vehicle. It has a purpose and it has a use, and this is what it is. It is snurgling through shitty traffic on a wet March day. Then what? Right, so enough bollocks about the Cat. What other stuff do I want to do? I'm in an R in about Sting. Now, I started all of them yesterday morning in the garage just before I jumped into work. All fine, all boomers, happy. So I think, touch wood, I think we are clear of, not that my helmet's made out of wood, but you know what I did. I think we are clear of engine problems. I'm probably tempted fate by saying that, but I think we're running fine. I want to check out those forks though, so I do want to MOT it, but I want to check out the forks. It has got really soft front suspension, and I think it was Dan Barnes actually that put it on a comment. and he's entirely right, and he's sort of mirrored my thinking. You know, if the fork seals aren't leaking and the front forks are really soft, it could just be there's no fucking oil left in them, and they have leaked in the past and everything's gone. So I need to have a decent look at that. I don't want to, as much as I want to get the bike done and everything, what I don't want to do is take it for an MOT just to discover that its forks are dry. Now it's an interesting one on MOTs, because an MOT will check, to my knowledge, please correct me if I'm wrong, the MOT will check that your fork seals are leaking, or that if your fork seals are leaking. However, if they're dry, then that's a pass. But if they are totally dry, i.e. there is no oil in there, how the hell does an MOT tester know? I do get the feeling that they could, you know, give it a bounce and go, Christ, they're soft, you've probably got no oil in there. Is that an advisory? Shouldn't be, because that's fucking dangerous if there's no oil in it at all. Don't know. So I think just by virtue of the fact that I'm not sure, I don't think I'm going to go for an MOT this weekend. I think what I'm going to do is have a good look at those forks. Now I don't think, I'm trying to look back and remember, I don't think I've taken them off. I know I've cleaned them up, but they were on the bike with that, and I was using my angle grinder, my foam, my felt pads and a load of others, and just banging through it, which gets lovely results. But I don't think that I have taken those forks off. And what I might do is take them off and just have a look around. I don't know if there's a drain plug on them. I did have dramas in the past trying to find a service manual for it. I'm sure one of you guys found it for me and sent it, but I'm buggered if I can find it, because it was quite a while ago now. You know, we're talking October, November last year. But yes, I don't know how much it should have in there, and I don't know if there's any way of just draining it, so I'm going to have to do a bit of research between now and then. Right, that'll do me for now. Thanks for listening to me rambles, thanks for listening to my rants. I'm sure anyone that's ever sold a bike can sympathise or empathise. That'll do me. Cheers all, catch you later. Okay, so I'm most of the way home after a particularly shitty day at work. It has to be Fred. Has to be said even. Fred? Who's Fred? I did start filming all the way back, but I've just been away with the fucking fairies, to be honest. My head's really not in it. I haven't had an email today that my bobbins, my crash bobbins, or my frame sliders, or whatever you want to call, have arrived. So I'll let you have a quick look at those. I'm quite intrigued as to what they're like, and it's really just setting me up for the weekend minor task. On the cat, excuse me, sorry, long day. The minor task on the cat of minor. He says hopefully minor task of putting crash bobbins on the Thundercat, and then also putting the USB charge port on it. I probably should run it from the ignition, but frankly I'm probably just going to run it from the battery. Yeah. But yeah, the old cat does well. It's nice and lumbery actually. I know I poot around a little bit, and I know I occasionally scare some of the viewers with my filtering antics. And in fact, somebody did point out actually quite nicely, there was no you're driving recklessly now. Actually, it was a really nice way of putting it. They're just saying, oh, you know, I'm a bit concerned over some of the stuff you're doing. I am. I've got my birthday coming up in a couple of months' time. I'm looking at doing some of the like the police-sponsored bike riding courses. I've not been riding that long. Only about 4 years now-ish, something like that. And I've picked up a shed load of bad habits. I know I have, particularly because I ride the same route over and over and over again. So I know I've picked up some bad habits and stuff that I want to get rid of, frankly. But I don't do a lot of group riding, so I don't really get a lot of, you know, learning through other people either. So I think that'd be quite good. I know some of these things can have a, you know, an impact on your insurance and all that. That's not why I'm doing it. It's just that, you know, I'm going to be riding into central London. There's no point trying to do all these things on the bike to make it safer if fundamentally the thing on the bike that makes it either safe or unsafe is the idiot that's controlling it. So why not adjust myself a little bit? So I'm going to look into some of those. I might have a chat actually. I might see if I can film some of it, or see if I can YouTube upload some of it, or you know, just see what they reckon. Oh crikey. Yeah, it's just been a long day and a long week, and it's only Wednesday. Hooray! But yeah, that'll do me. I'll jump back in when I'm in the house, when I'm in the warm and dry, and we'll have a look at these crash bobbins slash frame sliders. And then over the weekend we'll do a bit of installing or mounting or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so in the warmth of my kitchen, you can tell you're in my kitchen because there's always something going. The dishwasher's going in the background. Yeah, so here we have the sliders for frame mushrooms. Oh, yeah, I have heard them called that before. So the crash mushrooms for the frame, crash mushrooms for the forks. They come from JB Biker Bits. And I'll do a bit of a review while I'm doing it, and over the weekend while I'm sorting them out. But you know, come across as a good bloke on the on a bit of interaction prior to purchase. I did see if I could get some money off for getting those and those, and he said, "Yeah, sorry, mate, I can't." But you know, don't ask, don't get. But you know, still reasonable at normal price. The bit that I wanted to point out, and the bit that frankly is going to be a lifesaver, and the bit that you don't get when you buy cheap Chinese parts. Instructions. I know there's a bit of a thing about blokes not following instructions, but I will be. And the next vid I'll upload doing this and following the instructions to do it. But I mean, looking at them, looking at the bits, a couple of stoppers for the end. That is a substantial piece of engineering that's falling apart when I'm bouncing around on my kitchen table. I like that. That looks good. And if he is making them himself, that's, you know, that's not bad. That is not bad at all. And yeah, so next upload, chucking those on, watch an idiot try and follow idiot-proof instructions. Right, that'll do me. Thanks very much all. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. I'll catch you on the next one when we try and put these bad boys on the cat. Cheers now, ta-da.